Guys, it's the Southern Orthopedic DME Prep Zone wrap-up show driven by Carl Cannon. James Phillips here with Brian Hale. Brian, it's our first week of the high school football season, and we've got it in the books. And what a week it was, and we're so happy that we finally got to see some football.
And somebody at this table is in a very good mood. Guy over here was a part of senior night.
That's right.
The street.
Yeah.
And his alma mater won bragging rights tonight. So
yeah, I've had a good week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed a good week.
I've made a new enemy, Mother Nature. Past two nights, she's not been a friend.
Well, you know, what did you expect from 2020? Like, did you expect a smooth first week?
No, and I haven't got it in any way, shape, or form.
But we survived it.
Yeah, we did.
That's the key.
And thankfully, we did get football, as you mentioned.
Right. And I hope everybody went to dmeprepzone.com throughout Thursday and Friday. They were able to keep up with all the scores. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go to dmeprepzone.com, and we're going to talk about all the games from this week. Brian, let's start with our Thursday night games.
Okay.
Let's start with the game that you were at, and that was Carbon Hill at Curry. Carbon Hill picks up a 48-28 win. What did you see? What's your take from that game?
I really ballyhooed this the other day during our pregame show, and obviously Coach Chavis Williams really mentioned it. But that offensive front with 5 starters returning, they were just dominant. You're talking 463 yards, 300 yards at halftime. They were just open holes. They gave the quarterbacks, Luke Tittle, plenty of time to find his receivers. They were just stellar. And defensively, Carbon Hill got the job done. I mean, they had some lumps here and there, but it was mainly in the third quarter after they were already up 36-0.
Right, up 36-0. They did give up 22 points in that third quarter, though.
Yeah, which one of that was due to they recovered their own onside kick and returned it for a touchdown. Another one was an onside kick fumble.
Right.
And then they did have put together the score. So, but then Carbon Hill starts roaring back themselves, and they put touchdowns on the board. So I'm telling you what, this is a Carbon Hill team that really needs to be watched. I'm going to be anxious to see how they do for the rest of the year because I think they're going to be a big-time force.
Well, and, you know, the good thing about Curry in that game is that it did show, even though they went down big early, they did not quit fighting and came back with 28 points by the end of the game.
No, they certainly didn't. They continue to fight, but Curry has really been plagued that entire time with a whole lot of turnovers. They were able to recover some of those turnovers, but it could have been a lot more turnovers than it was. So it is lucky that was seen in the first game than in week 5 or week 6 when you're in region play.
Now, am I mistaken? Did Carbon Hill have 3 running backs go over 100 yards?
They totaled over 100 total yards.
Right, okay.
There was 3 of them, and of course, Devin Daniel was just phenomenal. I mean, he was pretty much doing everything except going to the concession stand and selling hot dogs.
Right. Well, hey, that's what you need at a team like Carbon Hill. They've got to have several guys who can do it all, and it looks like they do for at least to start off the season. Brian, you also saw a weather delay. We talked about Mother Nature, and that one about an hour and 20-minute weather delay?
Yeah, it was about a little tiny bit under an hour and a half out at Curry.
Right.
So,
well, and that's what happened. The next game we'll talk about was across the street at Jasper, and a little over an hour weather delay there as well. Luckily, it fell at halftime, so everybody got to go in. We kind of recharged at halftime, then came back out a little bit longer than your typical halftime.
Yeah.
Jasper, though, wins that game 30-20. Really should have been 30-13. They gave up a late score with like 22 seconds left in the game to make it 30-20. Jasper fell behind early, though. Mars Hill is a very good team. They've been in the state championship game 2 years in a row. They won the state championship 2 years ago in Class 1A. They jumped up 6-0. Jasper was kind of caught on their heels, wasn't ready for that wing tee offense. And then Jasper comes back, scores a field goal. In the second quarter, Jasper was able to score a touchdown, their first touchdown of the game. They lead 10-6 when the weather breaks, and then they come back out in the third quarter and just run the ball straight down Mars Hill's throat, and scored a touchdown, which has been something that we've seen from Jasper over the last several years, especially if they need a big score to start the second half. They run the football and they run it right at you. And then they scored another touchdown in the third quarter, and then a final touchdown in the fourth quarter, 30-20, over a team that's been to 2 state championship games, whether it's a 2A or 6A or whatever. That's a pretty good win for Jasper.
It is. It very much is.
And first win under head coach Phillips Bailey.
Congratulations.
And so that was phenomenal for him to pick up that win. Now they've got to turn around and look and go to a rival Coleman this week.
Absolutely, and that's a big one. Of course, Jasper Coleman's always a big one.
That's true. Yeah, them could be fighting words sometimes. Let's hope not this time around. Brian, one score that I think Jasper fans are going to be really interested in.
Really?
Yeah. Hartselle. You know about Hartselle?
Oh, yeah.
Hartselle's playing Austin tonight, and Austin won the game 31-7.
31-7.
Yeah.
That's almost like 31-6.
Right.
So you know what Austin 316 means?
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
Austin 316 means that we just kicked Hartselle all the way up and down the field.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I was able to actually read that score without laughing, which I'm surprised by.
You should have laughed.
But I'll tell you what, wins are hard to come by.
It is.
Wins are even hard to come by when you go searching for wins. Or maybe when you go chasing wins. They can be really hard to come by. And I think somebody probably found that out on Friday night.
And when you abandon ship?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay. Let's move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
How about Friday night games? We've got Victory Christian and Summerton Christian. Victory Christian comes in. Summerton goes up early and holds the lead for a while. I think they had the lead at halftime, 8-6.
8-6, yeah.
Yeah, but 14 unanswered points in the second half, and Summerton Christian falls 20-8. But that's about where we kind of thought that game might be.
Well, it was a very competitive game last year. And I think Summerton Christian is going to be a much better team this year than they were last. So, hey, both of these teams going forward might look back at this game and say, hey, that was a competitive game for a reason.
Right.
I think very well that could be the case. Especially Summerton Christian gets their sea legs under them and they get into that 1A schedule. I think this was something good for them.
Right. I think, Victory Christian, they're a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they won 7 games last year. Summerton Christian got some really good days ahead of them, I believe.
Absolutely.
All right, how about Oakman hosting Gorda? This game was close to begin with. It was 13-13, and then the Green Wave just absolutely crashed over the Wildcats for a 48-19 win.
Yeah, that's one that, I thought that Gordo would win this, but I thought it would be more in the league of maybe 10 points.
Right.
And especially up to the point where we saw it was 13-13, I was like, okay, it's probably going to fall suit. But wow, Gordo came out and they were determined to really make a statement.
Yeah, they were. Well, and I think Oakman hurt themselves a lot. The biggest thing was the second quarter. I think they had some turnovers, and then Gordo rolled up 21 points in that second quarter to really take advantage and never look back after that. Yeah.
So, hopefully Oakman, they can get everything shored up. They've got an interesting matchup this Friday night with Curry.
Hey, here's one that turned into a ball game. Cold Springs hosting Meek. Cold Springs wins 43-40. They were up big on Meek. I think it was 28-8 at halftime. And then Meek scores 24 points in the fourth quarter to make a game of it, but still just cannot get that win. But showing some signs of life there, the Tigers were.
Yeah, and the only thing that I look at right now is what is Cold Springs at this point?
Right.
It's kind of like we don't know necessarily. Cold Springs has been one of those teams that's been up and down a lot over the past couple of years. So
right.
If Cold Springs ends up being 1-9, We don't know, but if Cold Springs ends up being a playoff team, we can look back and say, hey, look, Meek was showing this already early in the year.
Right. Okay, next game, another Winston County team. This is a surprise to me. I really thought this would be a closer game, and I thought Addison would pull out a win. Haleville beats Addison 28-6.
Well, if you remember in the pregame, this is my whole thing with Haleville. You never know year to year what you're going to get from them.
Right.
They can have, seasons where they win 10 or 11 games stringed up in a row and go to the playoffs. And then they have 3 or 4 seasons to where they're 3 wins, 2 wins. So Haleville's such a hard team to look at, but I think we'll get a good gauge of Addison next week because we'll be up there.
Right, and it'll be Addison and Lynn next week, and that's a little more, Haleville, the 4A school.
Yeah.
And like you said, when they have some talent on that team, Haleville can pick up. They can be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's we want to see how both those teams go moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, our game of the week this week was Cordova at Dora, and Brian, you were at that game. Dora pulls out a 21-6 win. They went up 21-0 before halftime, and it looks like they kind of just put the brakes on and cruised to the win. Is that basically what happened?
Well, and Dora was really dominant that first half. The 21-6, yeah, one of those scores came back in a pick six, and they looked really, really good from the onset. Cordova kind of came in and shored up a lot of their problems on defense, was much more competitive in the second half on defense. Offensively, they were able to move the ball, but the 2 key things for me in that game for Cordova is they had 4 turnovers.
Right.
To Dora's 1. And then secondly, they had, in the second quarter, they had red zone opportunities they could not cash in on. So that was the big conundrum in that. But, the turnovers and the red zone opportunities, I'd say, were really what stopped this. I mean, Cordova had a chance with 1 minute left to punch it in. It would have made it, 21-12 or 14, all dependent.
Right.
But then that could have been, could have led into overtime. I'll tell you, though, who was the best tackler on that entire field tonight. The sloppy, rain-covered ground.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Thanks again, Mother Nature.
Yeah. And you had a delay in the start of that game.
Yeah.
Didn't start until 8 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. So that's why we're here filming about 12:16 on a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah.
That's it for the week. We had some interesting games. I can't wait. Football's here. I can't wait to make it. We're gonna make it 10. We're gonna make it 10 weeks. We're gonna make it through the playoffs. I believe it. Like I can feel it, man.
I hope so.
One takeaway I do need to say from this first week, it was senior night at Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
I was super proud to be able to walk across the field with my wife and our son Stone. He has been a player at Jasper for 4 seasons now. He's getting more playing time this year. But one thing, I don't brag about him much because he's my son. But one thing that's been really special with him is he's the first homeschool student to play at Jasper.
That's good.
And then he'll be the first homeschool student to play for 4 years with the school. And I think that's a really neat thing because he's a kid that was homeschooled his whole life and then goes into a football program as a 9th grader, didn't know a whole lot of people, and he worked real hard and that team accepted him, and they always have. And that's been something really special for him and for us to be a part of the Viking program.
You just have to rename him Milestone now.
That's right, yeah. Stonewall is what they like to call him.
Okay, Stonewall.
Yeah, especially during soccer season. But
I think a couple of things that we also want to look out that folks may not know about, but we're actually going to take our Player of the Week a step further this year.
Right.
We're actually going to do a segment where we present a Player of the Week award to that Player of the Week. And we'll also be doing the notable performances also.
That's true.
That's something to be watching about. So, hey, it's not just going to be just a story. We're actually going to honor these young men for their performances.
Well, and those will be actually done during our game time show.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do those each week. That's our preview show that we do each week. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, one thing that we mentioned during our game time show a couple days ago was that we mentioned the Curry Blue Devils. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a flub up in our Prep Zone playbook. We missed it. Four of us proofed the thing. All of us missed it. We caught it too late to be able to reprint and get it out in time for the season. But I mentioned if somebody could tell us what we were talking about when we said Curry Blue Devils, that I'd give them we've got some Prep Zone hats coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a winner on that. Landon Stevenson.
Cool.
He commented on our Game Time show, and he just said that he loved our new format, and he also appreciates that we can poke fun at ourselves with the mention of the Curry Blue Devils error from the playbook preview. And Landon, we appreciate you having a good spirits about that. We had a few people who did not have good spirits about that. They like to call in and let us know how dumb we are and how we can't read or proof. That's always appreciated. We do appreciate any time that you can let us know how dumb we are. But we tend to already know that we're not the smartest people in the room sometimes, right?
If you say so.
Well, at least you're not.
Whatever works for you.
All right, Brian, anything else before we go?
No, everybody have a good week. We're so thankful that we've got a football season to do this with. So we're looking forward to once again having another week of football that we can bring to you and let the young men out there represent their communities and have fun doing it.
Right, that's what it's all about. All we want to do is put a highlight on the players, the coaches, the schools, and we're going to do that each week through Prep Zone. Go to dmeprepzone.com. You can check out previews of the games. You can see the recaps from this week. And then later this week, it's going to be the Southern Orthopedic DME Prep Zone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon. And we'll be having highlights from the different schools. I think our new format has been really good this first week. It turned out great. And then every week, tune in. You'll have me and Brian to look at. We're a couple of good-looking guys. Not so much. But we can at least talk about Walker County football, right?
Well, at least we have beautiful lives.
That is true. Yeah, both of us outkicked the coverage on that.
No, way far.
All right, hey guys, next week, join us. Till next second week, week 2. For Brian Hale, I'm James Phillips. We'll see you then.